Thanksgiving at Aunt Patricia's beach house was a family tradition. 23 relatives crammed into her oceanfront property, eating turkey and pretending to like each other for 6 hours. I'd driven down from the city that morning, bringing pumpkin pies and low expectations. Claire. Aunt Patricia greeted me at the door with a hug that felt performative. So glad you could make it. How's the little condo treating you? It's perfect. Thank you again for letting me stay there. Of course, dear. Family helps family. She lowered her voice. Though between us, you really should think about buying your own place eventually. You're 33 now. I'll keep that in mind. The little condo she referred to was a 2-bedroom unit in the seaside complex, 3 buildings down from her beach house. Aunt Patricia had let me borrow it for the past 4 years, a fact she mentioned at every family gathering. Inside the house was controlled chaos. My cousins arguing over football games, uncles debating politics, my mother arranging the dining table with military precision. Claire. Mom called over. Come help with the place cards. Patricia wants everyone seated strategically. I joined her at the dining table. The seating chart was a complex social hierarchy, the successful relatives near Aunt Patricia at the head, the rest of us scattered according to perceived achievement. Where am I? I asked. Mom checked the chart. Table 2. With your cousin Beth and the younger kids. Not the main table? That's for Patricia, Uncle James, your brother Michael and his wife, people with real careers. She said it matter-of-factly like this was obvious. You're doing that consulting thing, which is nice, but it's not the same as Michael's corporate position. Right. My brother Michael appeared fresh from his Tesla in the driveway. Claire. Still living in Aunt Patricia's condo. Still there. Must be nice having free housing. I'm paying $4,200 a month for my place in the city. I'm very grateful. You should be. Patricia's basically subsidizing your lifestyle. He grabbed a beer from the cooler. Though I heard her mention she might need it back soon. Something about her daughter wanting to use it. My stomach tightened. She didn't mention that to me. Well, nothing's permanent, right? Enjoy it while it lasts. Dinner was the usual elaborate affair. Turkey, ham, 7 side dishes, 3 types of stuffing. Aunt Patricia presided over the main table like a queen, holding court with the successful branch of the family. I sat at table 2 with my cousin Beth, her teenage kids, and Uncle Raymond, who everyone tolerated but didn't particularly like. How's work, Claire? Beth asked politely. Good. Busy. Still doing the consulting? Property management consulting, yes. That sounds flexible. The way she said it implied unemployed. Uncle Raymond leaned over. Any money in that? Consulting. It pays the bills. But not enough to buy your own place, eh? Smart of Patricia to let you use the condo. Family should help each other. I smiled and said nothing. After dinner, as we cleared plates, Aunt Patricia clinked her wine glass for attention. Before we have dessert, I need to make an announcement. She stood at the head of the main table. As many of you know, I've been generously letting Claire use one of my condos at the seaside complex. Every head turned toward me. It's been wonderful having family nearby, she continued. But unfortunately, I have a family emergency. My daughter Melissa needs a place to stay while she goes through her divorce. The timing is terrible, I know, but family comes first. My chest tightened. So Claire dear, I'm going to need the condo back. By the end of the month, if possible. The room went silent. I know it's sudden, Patricia said with practiced sympathy. But I'm sure you understand. Melissa's going through a difficult time. She needs her family. Mom jumped in. Of course she understands. Claire's been living there rent-free for years. The least she can do is accommodate when there's a real need. Michael nodded. Yeah, Claire. You've had a good run. Time to find your own place anyway. I set down my wine glass carefully. When do you need me out? End of the month would be ideal, Patricia said. That gives you 2 weeks. Plenty of time. I'll start packing this weekend. You're so understanding. Patricia beamed. This is why I love our family. We support each other. Uncle James spoke up from the main table. Patricia, you mentioned one of your condos. How many units do you own at Seaside Complex? Just the one, she said. The one Claire's been using. I thought you owned the whole building. Oh no. Just the single unit. Though the way property values have been rising, I might look into buying more as investments. I took a long sip of wine. Beth leaned over. Where will you go? I'll figure something out. Maybe you could find a roommate situation? Split rent somewhere. Maybe. The conversation moved on. Dessert was served, 3 kinds of pie, coffee, cordials. The successful table got first choice. Table 2 got what was left. I excused myself to use the bathroom and stepped outside to the deck instead. The ocean stretched dark and infinite beyond the beach. My phone rang. Unknown number. This is Claire. Ms. Anderson, this is David Park from Coastal Property Management. I apologize for calling on Thanksgiving, but we have a situation. David was my property manager for the seaside complex. He had no idea I'd be here. What kind of situation? One of the unit owners, Patricia Morrison, Unit 23, just called our emergency line claiming there's a squatter in her property. A squatter? She says someone's been living there without permission. She's demanding we issue an eviction notice immediately. I closed my eyes. Unit 23 is occupied by authorized tenant. Me. You're living in Patricia Morrison's unit? It's complicated. What exactly did she say? That she's generously allowed a family member to stay there temporarily, but now she needs it back for her daughter. She wants the current occupant removed by month's end. David, pull up the ownership records for Unit 23. I have them here. It shows. Oh. He paused. Oh my God. What does it show? The owner of Unit 23 is C. Anderson Holdings. Which is your company, Ms. Anderson? Correct. Patricia Morrison hasn't owned this unit since 2021. Also correct. I bought it 3 years ago when she needed cash quickly. Part of a larger acquisition. The larger acquisition being the entire seaside complex. I own all 47 units, including the one Patricia thinks is hers. David was silent for a moment. Ms. Anderson, Patricia Morrison is demanding we evict you from property you own. That's the situation, yes. How would you like me to handle this? I looked through the glass doors at my family. Aunt Patricia was laughing with Uncle James. Michael was showing someone photos on his phone. Mom was serving pie. Call her back, I said. Explain that C. Anderson Holdings owns the property. Don't mention that I'm C. Anderson yet. Are you sure? Very sure. Let her process the information first. Understood. Should I mention that she's actually a tenant? She hasn't paid rent in 3 years, but technically. Let's save that detail for later. I hung up and walked back inside. 5 minutes later, Aunt Patricia's phone rang. She answered, walking into the kitchen for privacy. But the house was small and voices carried. Yes, this is Patricia Morrison, she said. What do you mean, ownership records? Pause. That's impossible. I've owned that unit for 15 years. Another pause. Her voice rose. C. Anderson Holdings? I don't know who that is. There must be a mistake. She came back into the living room, her face pale. There's been some kind of error with the property records. The management company is claiming someone else owns my condo. Uncle James frowned. That's strange. Have you checked recently? I don't need to check. I bought it in 2006. Michael pulled out his laptop. What's the address? I can look up the public records. Patricia gave him the address. He typed, clicked, scrolled. Here it is. Seaside Complex, Unit 23. Current owner. He squinted at the screen. C. Anderson Holdings. Sale date March 2021. March 2021? Patricia's voice was shrill. That's impossible. I didn't sell anything. The records show you sold it for $340,000. Below market value. These units usually go for $450,000. Uncle James looked at Patricia. Did you need money in 2021? Were you in some kind of financial trouble? She waved her hands. That was a private matter. And I took out a loan using the condo as collateral, but I didn't sell it. The records are pretty clear, Michael said. Full sale to C. Anderson Holdings. You haven't owned this unit for 3 years. The room had gone quiet. Beth whispered to me, if Patricia doesn't own it, who does? I stayed quiet. Patricia was dialing again. I'm calling my lawyer. This is fraud. Someone forged documents. Her phone rang before she could finish dialing. She answered, her voice tight. What now? She listened, her face going from red to white. What do you mean, all of them? Her voice was barely audible. How many units? A longer pause. 47 units? The entire complex. Everyone started talking at once. Patricia held up her hand for silence. Who owns them? Who is C. Anderson Holdings? She listened, her eyes scanning the room until they landed on me. Claire Anderson, she whispered into the phone. I met her gaze evenly. My niece Claire. Patricia's hand shook. That's not possible. She lowered the phone slowly. David Park, the property manager, says that C. Anderson Holdings is owned by Claire Anderson, my niece, who I just demanded be evicted from a property she owns. The silence was absolute. Michael's mouth fell open. Claire owns the seaside complex? Apparently, Patricia said faintly. All 47 units. Mom set down her pie plate. Claire? Is this true? I stood up calmly. Yes. You own the entire complex? I bought it 3 years ago. It was undervalued, in need of updates, and the previous ownership group was desperate to liquidate. I saw an opportunity. Uncle James found his voice. The previous ownership group, that included Patricia's unit? Yes. Aunt Patricia needed cash in 2021. She had financial difficulties. She sold me her unit as part of the larger acquisition. But she's been acting like she still owns it. Beth said. I never corrected her. She needed somewhere to feel important. I let her believe she was being generous by letting me stay there. Patricia sank into a chair. You bought my condo when I was desperate. I bought it at a fair price when you needed cash quickly. You would have lost it to foreclosure otherwise. And the rest of the complex? Was part of a portfolio sale. 46 units from the management company, plus your unit. I got a bulk discount. Michael was calculating on his phone. 47 units at current market value. Jesus, Claire. You own like $20 million in real estate. The seaside complex is valued at $23.7 million as of the last assessment. Though my total property portfolio is more diversified. Mom's voice was faint. Total property portfolio? Seaside complex is my largest holding, but I own 3 other residential buildings and 2 commercial properties. C. Anderson Holdings manages about $47 million in real estate assets. The room erupted in shocked murmurs. Aunt Patricia looked like she might cry. I've been bragging about letting you use my condo. For years. At every family gathering. You have been, I confirmed. And you never said anything? You seemed to enjoy feeling generous. I didn't want to take that from you. Take that from me? You bought my home. I bought a property you couldn't afford to keep. There's a difference. Uncle James cleared his throat. Patricia, be honest. Were you in foreclosure? She didn't answer. You were, weren't you? And Claire bailed you out by buying the unit. Patricia's tears started falling. I had some bad investments. I needed cash fast. Claire offered a clean sale, no questions asked. I took it. And never told anyone, Michael said slowly. Because I was embarrassed. I didn't want the family to know I'd failed. I spoke quietly. So you let them think I was the failure instead. Living in your condo rent-free because I couldn't afford my own place. Mom gasped. Oh, Patricia. I didn't mean, Patricia wiped her eyes. I just wanted to save face. At my expense, I said. Literally and figuratively. Beth looked at me. The rent-free thing. You've been paying rent this whole time, haven't you? I've been paying property taxes, maintenance fees and insurance. On all 47 units. Including the one Aunt Patricia lives in. Wait, Michael said. Patricia lives in the complex too? Unit 12. She sold Unit 23 to me, then rented Unit 12. From me. For the past 3 years. The implications sank in. You're her landlord, Uncle James said slowly. Have been for 3 years. Patricia's voice was barely audible. The below-market rent you offered me was a courtesy. Family discount. I've been paying you rent while telling everyone you live rent-free in my property. Though you're 4 months behind on payments currently. More shocked silence. Michael started laughing. A disbelieving sound. This is insane. Claire owns the building. Patricia is her tenant. And Patricia just tried to evict Claire from Claire's own property. While 4 months behind on her own rent, Beth added. Mom looked at me with new eyes. The consulting work you do. Property management consulting. For my own properties primarily, though I consult for other investors too. And we thought you were struggling. You assumed I was struggling. I never said I was. Patricia stood up shakily. The announcement I made. About needing the condo back for Melissa. Was you trying to evict me from my own property so your daughter could live there rent-free? I didn't know. You didn't ask. You just assumed. What happens now? She whispered. I considered. That depends. Do you want to stay in Unit 12? Can I afford to? Your current rent is $1,800 a month. Significantly below market rate. If you can get current on the back payments and stay current going forward, yes. And if I can't? Then we'll discuss options. Payment plan maybe. Or you could move to a smaller unit with lower rent. You'd let me stay? After what I did? Your family. And you've been through a hard time financially. I'm not going to make it worse. I paused. But Patricia, the days of you bragging about generously housing me are over. If people ask you, tell them the truth. She nodded, crying harder now. Uncle James spoke up. Claire, I have to ask. Why let Patricia save face all these years? Why not tell us? Because I wanted to see how you'd all treat me when you thought I had nothing. When I was the struggling niece living on family charity. I looked around the room. How I know. Mom's hand covered her mouth. The seating chart. Table 2. Where the unsuccessful relatives sit. I know. Claire, I'm so sorry. Don't be. It was educational. Michael closed his laptop. For the record, I'm an idiot. I've been lecturing you about buying your own place while you own $20 million in real estate. $47 million total. But who's counting? He laughed despite himself. $47 million. God, Claire. Patricia wiped her eyes. What about Melissa? She really does need a place. Unit 23 is available if she wants to rent it. Family rate. You'd rent to her? After I tried to kick you out. She's going through a divorce. That's hard enough without being homeless. I don't deserve your kindness. Probably not. But you're getting it anyway. The party broke up shortly after. People left in awkward clusters, whispering about the revelation. Before Aunt Patricia left, she approached me one more time. The back rent I owe. 4 months. I can have it to you by next week. Take your time. End of the month is fine. Claire, I'm truly sorry. For everything. I know. Can we start over? Be honest with each other. I'd like that. She hugged me and this time it felt genuine. Mom was the last to leave. Dinner next week? Just us. I want to hear about your business. I'd love that. And Claire? I'm proud of you. I should have been proud of you all along. You can be proud now. That counts. I drove back to the city that night, my phone buzzing with messages. Questions about the properties. Congratulations from the few family members who weren't shocked. A text from my property manager. That was the most interesting Thanksgiving call I've ever had. I responded, *same. Thanks for handling it professionally. *, anytime, boss. Though next time maybe give me a heads up when you're about to blow up a family dinner. *, where's the fun in that? I pulled into my parking garage, the one in the building I own downtown, and smiled. Thanksgiving had been more interesting than usual. And Aunt Patricia had finally learned what I'd known for years. Never assume the quiet niece has nothing. Sometimes she has everything.